Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bigfoot Cooking, where today we're making egg rolls. But not just any egg roll, we're making a breakfast egg roll, a lunch egg roll, a dinner egg roll, and dessert. That's right, egg rolls all day long. We're gonna start out with sausage, egg, and cheese. I mean, that's pretty simple. The ingredients are right there in the name. All the way to apple pie in an egg roll. Oh, today is gonna be good. So, since breakfast is the beginning of the day, let's get started with the breakfast one first.
To start this party, let's add some flame to the source. And of course, cast iron, because I mean, classic, real cooking is on cast iron, right? Get this thing heated up, and then we'll add half the salt.
Now to begin this egg roll, what we've got here, we've got a pound of ground sausage going on. We're just browning it up, making it look oh so nice, oh so delicious, because the egg roll really doesn't cook anything inside of the egg roll. You gotta have it pre-prepared, I guess would be the word. You gotta have it pre-made before you put it in the egg roll. Frying of the egg roll just makes it oh so crispy on the outside. So once this gets browned up, we'll put our eggs in. Let's go ahead and pull this off. I'm gonna set it in a bowl here with a paper towel just to help absorb some of that extra grease out of it. And then we'll get to scrambling of the eggs. All right, sausage is drained off and we've got the towel out from under it. Let's go ahead, we got our eggs mixed with just a pinch of salt and pepper. We'll add them in here, cook them right in the grease that was left over from the oh so good sausage. And let's make some scrambulations happen. Now we're doing a little bit of a hard scramble here, so that way I can chop everything up so we don't have big pieces of egg. We just get everything mixed together for the egg rolls. And into the sausage. Everybody join the board. Make this a flavor party. All right, we've got these guys out. We've got them happily mixed together. I mean, come on, sausage and egg. Well, that's always a good start to a morning, right? But wait, what's the other ingredient we need for this? Cheese. And of course, just a pinch of cheese. I mean, to taste. We're gonna put the whole thing in there. We want this stuff cheesy. But again, mix it to how you like it. If you like a little cheese, if you like American cheese, if you like Gruyere cheese, hey, you do you. But this is the stuffing for our egg rolls. So let's get them prepped for the bath of hot oils. All right, now I've taken my egg rolls, and what I did, I cut the package so that I could take the whole corner open, make things a little easier to get. I'm gonna set it off to the side, and we're gonna keep a damp towel on top of it. So that way they don't dry out, because if they dry out, what's gonna happen, they're gonna get stiff and you won't be able to roll them. Not really a good way to make an egg roll now, is it? So let's get started with the first one. We'll just take our first guy out of the pack, cover up the rest of them because we want them oh so fresh. We set this at a little bit of an angle toward us. You want it to point towards you. And the hardest thing to do is not to overstuff these, because you want these nice big fat egg rolls. Well, that's not really, when you cook them up, it won't work that way. They'll bust open. So at the most, I'm putting about 2 tablespoons of stuff in here, maybe a little less. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna get all this together into the middle. I'm gonna take and fold this over the top and gently pull it back a little bit, just trying to tighten it up some. So that way it's it's not floppy in the middle. We're not making like a loose leaf burrito. We're making egg rolls. They gotta be perfect, right? We'll pull that back, take our finger, dip it into some water, maybe 2 fingers, dip it in, and just coat the edge right here with some water. What that does, that makes it where it's sticky, so that way when you roll it onto itself, it'll hold. Now you could also use egg if you wanted to as well. It's not real picky, it's just something to make it moist. Ooh, he said the word. Something to make it damp. Once we fold it over like this, we're gonna take our edges and we're gonna pull them in, so that way we get them nice and squared up. Get back in there. Pull this guy in. And now, the roll part. You just bring it down, keep everything tucked in, nice and pretty, and voila. You have an egg roll. You have an egg roll. 1 egg roll. We got more to make. Let me fast edit this so you guys aren't just watching me talk. Now don't forget, of course, while you're doing this, Nothing stops you from adding more flavor to your dish, like, you know, go ahead and set it up with some hot sauce in the inside of it. That way you ain't got to put it on the outside. Makes things convenient later on, right? Oh, these are gonna be so good. All right, we have 10 egg rolls ready for the heat. So what do you say we get some oil going on? Let's get it heated up to about 350 degrees and then give these guys a little bath and some crystallization. Oh. Now, while I'm waiting on the oil to come up to temperature, I want to point out a little something to you that you may not have thought about. Yes, we're in the kitchen. Yes, we're dealing with fire. Yes, we're dealing with oil. And yes, we have protection. That's right. Today is your PSA, fire extinguisher. It's that nerdy little thing that sits in the corner that you never think about. You may want to think about it, because all it's going to take is something one day where you do something stupid and there's this big whoosh. And don't say it don't happen, because you've watched those YouTube videos and those TikToks and those everything else where the kitchen gets ablaze because they burned the chicken or something. One fire extinguisher could have changed the day. So there's your safety message for the day. Now, let's check the oil again and let's see if we're ready to cook. All right, oil is up to temperature. Let's make some sizzle. Now, the cool thing about a wok is because it's high-sided like it is, the splatter that kind of gets everywhere doesn't go near as far because it has a place to head to. So we'll ease these guys in, oh so carefully. Ooh, look at that. The bubbles begin instantly. And also you want to make sure that you don't crowd your pan, because if you do, well, things don't fry as well when they're lumped together. So we'll probably cook these. Let's see, I think I can get half of them in here. We'll do 5 at a time, but we won't do them all. Make sure nobody's sticking, everybody's moving around. And if you don't want to deep fry them, if you want to use less oil, no problem. You just have to turn them a little more often. Hey, they still taste great when you're done. All right, we got about 2 minutes on them. Let's go ahead and flip them over. That way we get a good 360 degree pretty skin on. All right, we got about a minute on the other side. Let's take these babies out and we're gonna set them right here, let them drain. That way all that excess grease comes off of it, because, well, there's no need for all that noise, is there? And we will set our next batch in and get them to look just as pretty as these. All right, round 2 is looking good. Like I say, 2 minutes per side, about. You know, if you want them a little darker, leave them a few minutes more. The biggest thing is that you want them nice and crunchy, and the only way that's gonna happen is to make sure your oil is hot enough. If you put it in too soon, if you put it in at the oil is like 200 degrees or so, these are gonna be mushy. They're gonna be egg rolls. They're gonna be something, but they won't quite be what you're after. So we're gonna let these cool here for about 10, 15 minutes or so, and we're gonna cut into them. Oh, I can't wait. And there you have it, the start of the day. Breakfast, step 1. I mean, looky here. Eggs, sausage. You know there's cheese, but it melts in here and combines with it so nicely that everything just goes away. Of course, I have to have it with just a little extra something, because again, I like spicy. So we're gonna put a little dab of the green stuff here. You could put the red stuff. I guess you could put ketchup if you wanted, but you know, this is breakfast. This is the start of the day. This is where we begin. It's got a good crunch too. Ooh, I forgot, that's the hot sauce. Wow. I'm gonna be right back. Woo, this is good, but this is hot. A little bit of that on the outside, plus the sausage, the egg, and the cheese on the inside in an egg roll. Man, you can't go wrong with this starting your day. But that's only the starter. We got breakfast. You know what we need next to it? Lunch. Let's make some cheeseburger egg rolls, because, ooh, that sounds so good. Right, let's get to the lunch menu. Now for the lunch menu, we're doing hamburgers. Not just hamburgers, cheeseburgers. Not just cheeseburgers, bacon cheeseburgers. So for the spice rack assembly here, we've got our pound of ground beef. We've got a whole heap and cup of cheese, because you can almost never have too much cheese. We've got our spag, which is salt, pepper, onion, and garlic, a good heavy pinch of each one of those in there. We've got some chopped up onions just to add a little more definition, and I'm using red onion here instead of white, just a little flavor variation. Bacon, hey. And I'm using a little bit of relish here, some dill relish, that way we can add pickles to it. So let's start to get all this browned up, so that way we'll do it just like we did for our breakfast egg rolls, but keep the party going. We got our traditional cast iron because, oh, why would you not use cast iron? Let's go ahead and dump in our meat, get it on the sizzle. Ooh, don't you love that sound? Break it all up. Now that we loosen that up a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and add our onions to it because the onions do take a little bit of time to cook down and soften up. And so that way they'll kind of match series. As a matter of fact, while that's happening, let's go ahead and put in our spag. That's right, salt, pepper, onion, garlic. That way they can all marry and get happy while they're in there. Just do a little stir to get everybody involved. Oh, this is smelling good so far, and we ain't even got it in an egg roll yet. Now that we're getting close to being done, now I'm gonna add the bacon. I didn't want to do it earlier because I've already cooked all this bacon and crumbled it up, and I don't want to overcook bacon. I mean, burning bacon, I think you can be killed in 3 states for that. All right, things are browned up nicely. Let's go ahead and transfer them into a bowl with a towel under it so that way all the extra fats and stuff can get absorbed in. And that way we don't have a greasy egg roll. All right, we got our ground beef out and got the towel mashed into it really good. That way we help lighten some of the grease load in here. Don't want too much grease in the egg roll because then, even though it's fried food, it just doesn't taste good if it's all bleh, you know? All right, we got that out. It's time to dump in our small serving of cheese and our little bit of relish there on top just to give us the piculization. And we mix this all up real good. Now, once we get it mixed in, we're gonna give it a few minutes to cool too, so that way it's easier to handle as we're scooping it into the wrappers. Because I will say this, right now, this stuff is still hot. But then again, I just took it out of the frying pan. What do you expect? All right, now that that's calmed down some, let's get our next egg roll wrapper. Now you'll notice, actually, if you look at egg roll wrappers, at least the commercial ones, you'll get some that they're more floured on one side and less flour on the other. If you'll use the least flour side, the less flour side, then it actually closes up a little better. It's less goo on the fingers. So, same thing as we did before. We're gonna get us a nice big old scoop of this stuff. Not too much, because even though you would want it, it doesn't seal right if you do. And roll it up, pull it tight back, get a nice good hunk of everything in there, and then we just wet the wrappers. Pull a side in, and roll it up. 1 down and about 9 to go. Once again, fast forward time. Oh, I have run into the last one. Oh, I don't know if this is good or bad. I mean, it means we got egg rolls to eat, but I've got a little bit of extra stuffing left behind. So, I don't know, pour milk in it and eat it like cereal? Nah, but I guarantee it'll be eaten. You know, I think they got me on this one. It says here about 20 servings per container. Well, guess what about means? That means I got 19. Oh well, that's why I got extra stuffing left behind. No big deal. Let's hot off the oil and do some bubbleation. If you feel like you're experiencing deja vu, it's because you are, except this time, cheeseburgers. Again, don't overcrowd the pan. No more than, 5. No matter than what comfortably fits in there without everybody fighting for property rights. Now, another thing that happens when you cook these is if you overstuff them, what can happen occasionally is you get them in there, they'll swell up and they'll actually split open. Not that it really damages anything, it just gets your oil dirty. And if you're trying to make your oil stretch further, use it more than just one time, this is where maintenance matters. Keep your egg rolls realistic, people. Nummy, but realistic. Now, if it's taking you a long time to go from making these to putting them in there, you may want to wrap these with a damp cloth as well, just to keep them from drying out while they're waiting on the fryer. Because again, if they dry out, they get too hard and they don't do right when you put them in the oil. You want these things perfect, right? Patience is your power. And don't tell me you're not a doctor. You don't have patience. And once again, we have a 10-minute cooling down time before we can cut into them. And yes, you have to wait that long. Your tongue will thank you. Now, while we're waiting on those to cool, it'll give us just the right amount of time to make our spicy squash sauce. Not complicated at all. We're gonna take equal parts of mayonnaise, gassy mayonnaise, ketchup, and hot honey. Ooh. Yep, gotta add the hot honey to it now. Like I say, equal parts, so a third, a third, a third, however much you wanna make. I mean, I guess theoretically you could make this by the gallon, but I don't know what you're eating that much for. And if you guys remember, I also made this sauce in a different episode, which we made nothing but hamburgers in. Check that one out if you got a craving for something sweet, savory, and ooh, a little spice. So now we're up to 2 lines of egg rolls. Breakfast, lunch, but wait till you see lunch. You grab these guys and slice them open. Oh, you can see the bacon, you can see the cheese, you can see, well, I can see my future right here because I see me eating this whole thing. But first, we're gonna add a little bit of the spicy squash sauce to it. And I should got a spoon, not a fork, huh? Oh well, it's gonna go down good. Crunchy too. Man, this is good stuff. Now, while I eat the rest of these, y'all start getting ready in your mind for the dinner one. That's the traditional one, more of the regular cabbage egg roll. Stand by while I do some eating, and we'll be right back. So now, let's make the dinner ones. That's right, your traditional egg rolls, the ones you usually get when you go out to eat. For that, we're gonna use 2 cups of coleslaw. Yeah, it's the same thing. You could get the cabbage and the carrots and slice it up and the celery and all that. Or you can just buy pre-sliced coleslaw. Works just as good and it saves a whole lot of time, and I don't have a whole head of cabbage to deal with. So 2 cups of that. We've got 1 pound of ground pork, because traditionally pork is what you have in those. And from there we have 2 tablespoons of duck sauce, a teaspoon of, I want to say liquid Asian salt, but a teaspoon of soy sauce, and a little bit of cornstarch to tighten it up at the end. So let's go ahead and get the frying pan hotted up again and get the meat a-cooking. We're just gonna start out by adding our pork right to the frying pan. Well, not right in the middle of it, but right to it. And while that's working on browning, we're gonna go ahead and pour in our soy sauce. That way it can mix all in with the meat and add that flavor that you're after, right? We go ahead and add in our garlic for a good little taste of flavor right in there. Oh yeah. This is smelling right now. So let's pull it out. We're gonna put it on a towel. Let the towel absorb some of the fats out of it, and we're gonna cook the cabbage. We're gonna add just a little bit of water to it, so that way when the cabbage hits, it's got something to help cook it with. Then into the pot. And of course, stir it all up just to soften it up. We're not trying to break it all the way down. We're just trying to loosen this up so it's not as strong of a bite when you eat it. Now that we sweated out our cabbage, back in with the meat. Time for them to get reacquainted. Little quick stir here. And then this is where you add your duck sauce. Oh, the power of duck sauce. Get on in there. Just to kind of help sweeten it up and of course, keep those Asian flavors going because we are making an egg roll. Now that all that's mixed in, we're gonna use our cornstarch now. The whole purpose of the cornstarch is not so much at this very moment, but later on when you're cooking it in the egg roll, sometimes the cabbage and things will make it a little wet, and this will help tighten it up so it doesn't leak out and again, doesn't bust in the oil. All right, bring all this party into our little workable bowl here. Come on now, nobody jump ship. We all want to be part of this egg roll party. Now at this point, we're going to take some more of the cabbage that we have and we're going to add it in raw. Reason being is this will help kind of give it a little bit of crunch as you eat the egg roll. So we're putting maybe, I don't know, maybe a cup. We'll see how it feels after it stirs up. Just so you know, I sampled it. Just so you know, it's really good. And just so you know, with an egg roll wrapped around it, it's gonna be really great. So cue the fast speed again, because I'm sure y'all don't want to watch me roll 10 egg rolls just doing nothing. So let's speed wrap these once again. Stand by. Boy, talk about getting the perfect amount. I mean, I literally ran out right as I'm doing my last egg roll. Now that is timing. Does it happen that way all the time? No, but it does happen. And when it does, what's that saying? Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. Well, today I are blind squirrel. So we've got all these guys folded, we've got them tucked, and we've got them ready for the deep fryer. Let's go ahead and make these guys a nice, delicious golden brown and see what we got when we get past that step, shall we? And for the third time this episode, into the heat. Now, because the cabbage does have a lot of water in it, it is busier in the frying pan as far as splatters and pops and things like that, but don't freak out, it's okay. It's just cabbage cooking, trust me. The egg rolls are gonna be spot on. Just watch and see. And there you go, traditional egg roll. Straight from the Chinese restaurant, except it's not. It's from your kitchen, because you made these just like I did. Not difficult, you watched me do it. And I mean, look at the inside. Check it out, it's got all the things you want in an egg roll. Steam, egg, and roll. Now, let's see how we're doing on the taste department. Got ourselves a little duck sauce here to dip it in, of course, because why not? It's an egg roll. You know, one day I'm gonna learn to actually let them cool down before I bite into them, but man, they smell so good, they taste so good, they're crispy on the outside, everything you could want in an egg roll. So we got breakfast, lunch, dinner. Now let's do some dessert. That's right, apple pie time. Ooh, I'm gonna eat this and then we cooking some more. Now it's time for dessert. I mean, we've already had 3 meals, right? It's time for an apple pie egg roll. Ooh, the deliciousness. Ingredients are pretty simple with this. We've got 4 big old apples. We're gonna use 3 Granny Smith and 1 Honeycrisp. We've got a half a cup of sugar, half a cup of brown sugar. We've got about a teaspoon of cinnamon, teaspoon of lemon juice, a tablespoon of vanilla, because you gotta have the good stuff, right? A teaspoon of cornstarch to kind of help thicken it up at the end, and a pinch of salt just to bring the whole thing together, you know? But I think it needs something else, but I can't figure out what. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Becky May. Oh, that's right. Bigfoot makes moonshine. Y'all didn't know that, did you? That's right. They have every flavor out there. I got this from Roadside Distillery. They're up in Blairsville, Georgia. And man, if you're up that way, you should go check them out. So many different flavors. They've got moonshine, they've got some vodkas, they've got rums, they got stuff you hadn't even thought about. And if you're nice to them, drop the name Bigfoot Cooking, they might even give you some free samples of the stuff just to taste it. So we're also gonna add a shot of this to the mix. So let's get to the cooking. Now we start out by taking our apples and running them through the peeler. What this does, this will peel them, core them, and get them down to a good working size for this. Since we're not making a pie and we're making egg rolls, you want your apples cut a little smaller, because if they're too big, we're not gonna be able to roll them and wrap them. So high speed apple peel. I mean, seriously, 4 apples peeled in under a minute. This thing, it is absolutely awesome. If you ain't got one, why? It is amazing. Sticks right to the counter, pops right back up, makes apples and potatoes so much easier. Now that we've got these cored and kind of chopped, let's go ahead and turn them into bite-sized or itty-bitty bite-sized pieces. You see how these are smaller, thinner pieces? Makes it where they cook faster and go right into the egg roll. All right, let's put them on some heat and let them sweat. We light the heat. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a half a stick of butter and set it right in the middle of this too. That'll help richen it up some as well. While we're waiting on the butter to melt, we're also gonna go ahead and pour in our lemon juice and pour in our vanilla. I figure a couple of liquids on the bottom to help this thing get started. Great idea. And then once we just get the butter melted in there. Then we're gonna add our sugars and stuff. Oh, but I can't forget the main thing. Becky May's gift. Apple pie moonshine. Ooh. It's got that cork sound to it when you open it. We'll just add a dab of a shot to that. Give it another extra little kick to it. Now, if you don't have this, well, there's something wrong with you, first off, but two, it's okay. You don't have to do the alcohol, but it does help with the breaking down of the apples and gives it a little extra flavor, something that somebody will go, what is that when they take a bite of your egg rolls? You ain't got to tell them. It can be your secret. That little shot of apple pie moonshine sure does smell good when this is starting to break down. That was a stroke of genius. Now that we've got a little bit of liquid coming loose, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna add in our brown sugar, add in our regular sugar, our little bit of cinnamon to it, and of course, our pinch of salt. Get this all stirred in here so it can start breaking down and sweetening up, and oh, you're basically making apple pie here. You're just then gonna turn around and put it in egg rolls. Now you're only gonna cook this long enough for the apples to start to soften a little bit. You're still gonna have a bit of liquid in there, and that's where the cornstarch comes in, because once you plop it in, it'll help tighten everything up and make it just oh so right. So just keep stirring and sampling. Nobody will judge. You can eat as many of these as you want. It's you, you're cooking, your chef, your house, your rules. Hey, enjoy. All right, we had it where it was boiling, so we got all the sugars and everything melted into it. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna set it on low, give it time to thicken and set, and about the time the juices go from a liquid to sort of a paste, go ahead and dump in your cornstarch. And once the cornstarch is in it, that'll help tighten it up, and then we'll be ready to make some apple pie egg rolls. Now, again, if this was apple pie, we'd be ready to pour it in, but we want our egg rolls drier. So we're gonna take ourselves a little strainer, and we're gonna pick our apples up and just put them in here, so that way a lot of the extra juice can just drip through. We ain't gonna waste it, we'll use it later, but I don't want it in egg rolls. You put too much water in it, you can't fry them. So I'm gonna work on getting these out, and then we'll start stuffing some egg rolls. And once again, more egg rolls, more wrapping. But oh, this is dessert, so you know, with dessert, you're a little more patient, right? You're like, oh yeah, I can do this, because I mean, look at there. A nice big old heaping pile of apples, just saying, yep, I'm the one. We ain't done yet. Oh no, we still gotta fry them. Stand by. Now, once again, we got 19 wrappers. So I'd say they're pretty consistent with their about 20 wrappers means 19. So just kind of budget that as you're preparing your meals and going, all right, how many do I need to buy to do what I need to do? If you got to make 20 egg rolls, you're gonna have to buy 2 packs. If you can get by with 19, you're good. But in the meantime, these guys, notice I'm putting a little extra pressure on here compared to some of the others. I want these to seal. I want them to be good and tight, because I don't want any of the sweet goodness or the cinnamon to leak out if possible. That way it doesn't mess up my oil and I can save it for something else. But you know what? If it does, well, it was worth it for apple. So let's do the frying. All right, bath time for the apples. Man, these are gonna be so good. Now with the apple ones, as soon as I get them out, I'm gonna turn around and put a little sugar in there with some cinnamon mixed into it. Oh yeah. That way we can stick to it while it's good and hot. And boom, dessert is done. Now these, they gotta cool, because that hot filling after being in the oil, it will take the tip off your tongue. I'm telling you, I'm gonna have to wait on these. I can't work around that one. Stand by. And there you have it. Egg roll apple pies. I mean, by golly, by gee, looky here, looky he. I mean, steaming hot. Yes, I know, still steaming hot. I can't help myself. They smell good. And I took some of the juice left over from the apples. Guess what? Dipping sauce. Ooh wee. This is extraordinaire eating and good times today. Still a little hot, but I'm determined because, man, these things are good. And then that little bit of moonshine to kick it off inside. Ooh, I tell you what, knowing that these things are good, knowing that we got you for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert, all with an egg roll. If you know this, you know Bigfoot is real.